Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Clara.
And today we are reviewing Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Season 2, Episode 8, entitled...
The Mandrake.
The Mandrake. So I actually wrote notes down for this one. As we're leading into the finale, I have many a thought and many a question. So first of all, what do you think of the episode?
Good. Liked it.
You liked it. I think it's one of the funniest episodes they've had so far.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was very fun. There were just, first of all, I really liked Mandrake Sabrina.
I really liked Mandrake Sabrina,
I think Kieran and Shipka did a really great job with it. It really reminded me of Buffy Bot from Buffy.
Oh my god, it totally did. I didn't think that, but I was thinking it reminded me of something. Loved it. Yeah.
I think, and that's the kind of thing where I like when shows like Buffy and stuff would do things like that, where it's like, let the actor do something wacky for an episode. And I think she knocked it out of the park. So it was kind of cool how they combined that funny stuff with a actually important plot episode. And I thought actually a number of people just had we had some funny Hilda stuff. We had everybody. Theo had some funny physical comedy moments. When
that was good. Theo was very good in this episode. Not that he was in it for more than
5 seconds and smashing.
He was like Jesse in Breaking Bad when he's drinking water at the awkward dinner.
No memory of this
at all.
It's a meme. Okay.
The internet will know.
All right, so let's talk about some of the weird mythology things. Why don't the witches want the apocalypse?
I don't know. I was going to ask you the same thing. I thought you'd have a beef with it because I do too.
And why would the witches be enslaved in the apocalypse if they were the people who helped bring it about and they'd been worshiping Satan?
I don't know.
Is it just that Satan's a total dickbag?
In Supernatural, when they have the apocalypse, it ends up being that it's both the angels and the demon, they all want to bring about this apocalypse in order to sort of figure out what's going to happen once and for all.
Yeah, whereas in this reality, it seems like the devil, the apocalypse really more seems like the devil winning is what it comes across as.
But weirdly that everyone else loses.
Yeah, because the devil wins.
Because the devil is the worst deity, apparently.
Well, so I think maybe the idea is if we're going to use Father Blackwood as a facsimile of the devil, right? The devil's a dickbag, and he just wants everyone to worship him.
But I want the devil to end up being cool and about free will, and I know it's not going to happen, and also I want him to be Nick. I
know. So it's interesting. We'll see... I'm very intrigued to see what the devil actually is like. But as far as the way they're setting this up so far, it does seem like the devil's awful, and why would you worship him? Because his ultimate goal is to enslave you.
No, I know. There has to be some... that really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and so, I understand that why Sabrina wouldn't want the apocalypse to happen, because she cares about the mortals, right? But... Ambrose should be for it, Nick should be for it, and then you can still have them be well, we're for it, but for Sabrina's sake, we will, help her stop it. But they don't say that.
I mean, it could even be something a lot like the apocalypse to a lot of religious people here in the real world. Yeah. It's not like I want the world to end. Yeah. But if someone was it's the end of days, I'd think well, I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, but I think there's a difference. Because what I'm saying is it feels like in this mythology, the apocalypse means the devil wins. And so if you're a Satanist, you should want the devil to win.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah. I'm saying even it could still be somewhat of a bad thing. Yeah. It could be the end of the world as we know it. And so a witch doesn't want it to happen without it being... all witches getting enslaved.
Well, the point is that they should show conflict. What the best reality would be is if it was like Zelda worried about the devil coming to visit her.
Right, it's scary.
Right, yeah, where it's yes, I know this is my duty and I am for this, but also I'm afraid. That is not how they portrayed it at all, and I think that's weird. Next up. Once my phone opens, because, Face ID.
I just spat my water out.
Face ID is great.
Next.
Why didn't Lilith realize that she was helping, not hindering? Because, so Lilith's plan here was to...
Why is Nick a better researcher than Lilith?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
How multi-talented is this boy? He's so good. Okay, continue.
So Lilith... I guess what her plan is in this episode is to get Sabrina to do the Mandrake thing, in her mind, kill the Mandrake, and then she'll be able to kill Sabrina because Sabrina won't have her powers anymore. Because she finds out, oh, Sabrina's super powerful now, so I won't be able to kill her easily. So I better do this. But then she figures out in like 5 seconds later that...
No, because Nick is reading her the prophecy.
Why did Nick read her the prophecy? Also...
Okay, that's a question. Why did Nick read her the prophecy? But you know what?
Yeah.
Because the kiddo's instinct is fucking great. He reads her the prophecy. Bam, he's actually helping out.
Yes, but here's the other thing that doesn't make sense, though. So what actually... the only information that he finds out, in my opinion, from him reading that, is that the plan is to make Sabrina the queen. Because in a previous episode, when she's talking to Stolas about the temple, bringing down the temple, she says, oh, I've already made her do the exorcism in this, following the path of the Nazarene. So she already knew that she was supposed to be following that path. So therefore, she should have been able to figure out that killing...
She said specifically the path of the...
So she should have been able to figure out that killing the Mandrake would do this. She figures it out like a couple hours later. And on top of that, the fact that Lilith is able to be defeated because they have her rib and tie it up is really stupid.
Maybe part of the thing is that it's about, like, killing Sabrina after she opens the gates to hell. So she wants Sabrina to open the gates to hell, but she doesn't want Sabrina to be around to be his herald.
That's really good.
Okay.
So she's still, like, giving him sort of, like, she's still obeying him, but then she's still robbing him of the one thing he loves also, which is Sabrina.
No, I think so.
I think
All
this
right.
makes sense.
That's okay. That's fair. I guess the thing is, but in that thought process... Because before she hears that she's supposed to be the queen from Nick, right? She's still thinking that Sabrina is like just the herald, and so she's still allowing. I thought the whole point was to stop his plans to piss him off. I guess
of her being the herald.
Yeah, but then she's letting her be the herald because by having this happen.
But then she thought that Adam would come in and kill her.
Yeah, but she would still be the herald.
But it doesn't matter, because afterwards she still wouldn't, like, curry any favor. She wouldn't surpass Lilith.
Yeah, because
apparently she thinks Satan feels love towards her.
Yeah, that seems weird.
Seems real weird.
Well, except that she's kind of right, because she's supposed to be his queen.
That doesn't mean anything in this fucked up world. Zelda's supposed to be Father Blackwood's queen.
But love... She might be saying love in the way that, like, demons think of love. You know, like, he cares about, like, it's important to her, important to him. I do agree that using the word love is weird. I don't,
especially because Lilith was sort of feeling love for the first time. Yeah. But I can get that she has a weird understanding of what love is, given her. But the thing about the rib, I think that's fine if you had the devil's rib, right? And you did a spell with it. That's really powerful. They have Lilith's legit, her actual rib, and they did a binding ritual. They shouldn't have made it that easy to get the rib.
Yeah. But I guess my feeling is this, that Lilith has been playing everybody like a fiddle for 2 seasons. And immediately, when she's revealed, she's impotent.
No, look, it's Nick. Nick is a very powerful warlock, and he can do whatever he wants. My point being is that, like, I feel like the reveal of her should be like a badass moment, and it felt really lame to me. That's very true. Yeah, that's really, especially because they didn't figure out everything at once. They didn't figure out that she was Lilith. I feel like that should have happened at the same time. I don't know. It just felt like they robbed us of something that had been building up for two seasons. I agree, and then also didn't do a full reveal.
Yeah, because it should have been her coming when they found out. They should have been like, "Well, we can stop her," and then she's like, "Well, I'm Lilith. You think I'm just a witch?" Fuck
and then she just like,
yeah, like
that would have been really cool.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this temple thing. Sabrina was supposed to bring down the temple. Did she do it? Because in theory, she would have to do that before this moment where she sacrifices herself, suicide thing. So, because I went back, Lilith specifically says we need to bring down the temple, meaning the Church of Night. She says the Church of Night to stop us.
Helpful.
So, was Sabrina doing the whole thing where she brought in the fake devil? Does that count as bringing down the temple because he was going to become the anti-pope?
How about this? Father Blackwood in this episode said, we are no longer the Church of Night. Right? Or we no longer follow the path of night. Yeah. It's Judas. So by in some ways distancing Blackwood from the council, she pushed Blackwood towards doing that, which then did destroy it.
Here's the thing. That's an interesting theory, and I think that's probably right. I am getting frustrated by the fact that this show doesn't tell you. Like, there's so many things in the show where you have to reason it out yourself, and I feel like that's one of those things where there's a very easy way to just say, like, yeah, that's what it was. You know, like...
Maybe, well, you know what they really should have done is when they were going through all of the things, they should have done every single one of them.
Yeah, and including, like, the thing is, aside from curing the blindness, that's the only thing they showed from season 2 of what she's done. Whereas season 2 was the one that really felt like it was, like, she's Jesus hardcore. Because they didn't, like, bring up the Three Kings again. They didn't bring up her, like, resurrecting herself and healing people and all that stuff.
No.
So that was weird. Let's talk about the Three Kings.
Okay. Throwback.
Why didn't the Three Kings want her to ascend? They don't want hell on earth? Are they ever going to tell us what the Three Kings was about? I feel like they could just never come back to that.
I think it's yeah, and I think it's got to be just, like, internal hell politics.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Internal hell politics.
Maybe in the next episode they'll be like, you know, there's this big rift between demons and witches, and it's because of Lilith. And, you know, like, maybe there's this whole explanation for all, because that could be connected. Now,
I will say, I also think, so I had forgotten, I went back and watched some stuff from season 1. The devil himself signed off on the marriage of Sabrina's parents. Obviously, he's been planning this for a long time. He wanted to create Sabrina. Blackwood probably killed them on the Dark Lord's orders.
Why?
Because...
Oh, yeah. No,
that seems pretty likely, right?
Sometimes I forget that we're talking about Satan, and I'm like, that's not a nice... Oh, right.
Well, I think that's all feeding into his plan. He needed to separate her from her parents in order to lead her down the path of night in some way, because she had a mortal mother who might have made her baptize her and all that.
For example.
Yeah. Making oneself rise from the dead seems a little bit more like a perversion of sacrifice than this episode
I was thinking that too.
Yep.
That's fine. I actually hated the idea that the opposite of sacrifice was suicide. I was insulted by that.
In fact, she was specifically sacrificing herself in this episode. She was giving something up in order to protect people.
Right. Agreed.
She just was being Jesus.
Agreed.
Like,
agreed. I know.
And including giving up her life. Like, he was basically like, oh, your life is going to be way less long.
What if in the next episode they're like, oh, suicide isn't the opposite of sacrifice. She already did that one. It was too late already.
I mean, literally, when she dies and then makes herself come back to life, that is that should have been the moment.
Also, shouldn't rising from the dead be the last one?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
It's really, like, that's the thing is, so, like, this episode is fun. I like the Mandrake stuff. There's some cool stuff. Theo killing them all was a cool...
This should have happened before, because that episode... Netflix is out of order. Because I feel like this episode should have come before that one, and that one should have been the second to last episode of the season.
Yeah, because the thing is... So her lamely shooting with an actual gun, shooting a Mandrake version of herself is her ultimate thing.
Which also, like, in theory, couldn't the Mandrake resurrect itself?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Doesn't it have all of her magic powers?
Yeah.
Also, so is she just gonna get all her magic back? Because she did do what she wanted to do, was just get rid of all of her magic, in theory.
Right, and so now is she still that? I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how they tie up some of these things.
I think her magic is in the ether now.
Mm-hmm.
So then there will be another thing where it's re-imbuing her with her magic. It has to be the equivalent of her signing her name in the book.
Now, here's another question I have. Which might be, I'm sure hopefully they'll probably deal with it in the finale. But so far, Sabrina hasn't had to do anything for the Dark Lord. She just accidentally did everything.
She was asked to burn down the school, and she did.
My point being, everything that led through the prophecy that she did, the Dark Lord didn't ask her to do. Lilith did. Like, my point is, so far, there's no reason for her to have to write her name in the book. Like, they did all that work to get her to write her name in the book, but everything she's had to do, she just did.
Her soul belongs to Satan.
Yeah, but, like, she
might not be able to have been the sword of Satan if her soul didn't belong to Satan, you know?
I get, but she didn't even need to be like that in order to do any of the things. All she had to do is shoot a gun at herself.
Well, no, because she would have been dead then.
Okay, fine. But my point is...
I agree, Olga. Olga's making a,
what the fuck face?
It makes sense that she had to do...
I understand that she had to write her in the book, but the whole point of season 1 was building up that he needed her to do that so that he could call on her to do something important, but she's just done all the things by accident. So I guess maybe she'll do one ultimate final thing in the finale, but she already did the one ultimate final thing in this episode.
She couldn't heal Roz until she was this super version of herself.
Okay, but again, but it wasn't just about becoming super powered. The devil could have just made her super powered anyway. The point was that he needed to have
that.
The point was specifically that he needed to be able to control her, and he hasn't done anything to control her.
It's true.
It is. I feel like that's dumb. Yeah. I mean, he might have her do, again, one ultimate final thing this episode, but, like, they're already acting like she already did it.
Yeah.
So I think that's confusing. Now let's talk about Blackwood, another thing that I don't like.
The most negative review for an episode you like.
Blackwood, why on fuck does Blackwood think he can defy the Dark Lord this intensely?
I don't know.
He in the episode season 2 episode 1, he knows about the Ascension. He knows Sabrina's going to ascend. That's why he stops the Kings. So he knows that the Dark Lord has that plan. Season 1, he was talking to Lilith. He knows that it was incredibly important to the Dark Lord that she signed her name in the Book of the Damned. Why does he think he can just...
Is he Judas? Hold on. Hear me out.
Okay.
He says the word Judas a lot for someone who's not Judas.
He's the anti-Judas?
He's the anti-Judas. Look,
he's Jesus!
He needs to betray Sabrina. Maybe that's part of Satan's plan.
But he was never actually on side of Sabrina. If anything, Judas would make more sense if it was like Nick.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, you do like that.
I like these Nick ideas that are going to happen.
Time travel where Judas Blackwood is actually Nick Scratch.
There's no time travel in this show. That's just too far.
Look how happy Clara is with that idea.
Oh my god.
She's been in love with his son the whole time.
It is like Twilight. His story is weird Twilight.
But, I guess... That's an interesting thing about the Judas thing, but like seriously, if Blackwood knows that this is that important, just stay out of Sabrina's way and just
How do you know
make your own
that this isn't the Dark Lord telling him to do things? I mean, like, I get that doesn't make sense, that it would seem, but if maybe that's a part of that.
See, that's what annoys me about this show, is that you can say that and I can't argue against it because they just don't let you know anybody's motives at all, ever. I mean, the whole thing was Lilith was specifically sending Sabrina against him.
Uh-huh.
And Lilith was working for the Dark Lord, but I guess he could just be playing both of them in certain ways.
He is the deceiver.
Fuck, I'm deceived. Alright. What else?
But you know, wait, no. I find it actually aggravating that Blackwood has become such a caricature of himself.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And I really don't like just the... oh my god, I get it. Like, I get that this is a sexist thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's talk about the Hilda. So the Hilda thing, I think, is part of what makes it go over the top, right? With the council.
Yeah,
council
I mean, like,
guy.
okay, they could have had that. They could have had a different thing. They could have had, like, once an episode. They could have had, oh my god, it's insufferable.
Yeah.
And
it's just gone too far.
I mean, it's just not, it's not believable.
Well, yeah, and it's also just destroying the allegory because it's so beating you over the head with it that it's not an allegory anymore, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with Blackwood because, to a certain degree, I feel like they ramped him up in a believable way. That they started him off with being, like, hypocritical and you know he had ulterior motives. Then by the end of season 1, it's, like, clear that nobody trusts him. They take the baby away because they don't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that he might kill his own daughter just so that she's not the next in line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they ramped him up throughout the season ultimately to get to the point with Zelda making him, and then, I don't know.
But why does that happen? Why can't he just be a bad husband?
Yeah.
Why can't he, because so like that scene where he was like,
follow behind me.
Yeah, follow behind me. That's way creepier than, and like that was an interesting.
It was bad.
Because then it falls out of... So either they do the allegory or they do it real world scary.
Yeah.
So the follow behind me is real world scary. And and it creeps me out.
Yeah, but I mean, when we were first seeing Zelda as the bewitched version, that was also creepy.
Yes, but now it's just like every single thing.
I think the problem is that they just like tripled down on it so intensely. like of him, like that just being his entire character. Because that's the thing is, he wasn't really like he was sexist, but that wasn't like his whole point of being.
No, he was creepier because he had all these different layers and was always talking about free will. He doesn't talk about free will anymore. He talks about literally his entire religion is misogyny, which is just not interesting because it was real misogyny in religion is more complicated.
Well, and it was also supposed to be that it was about power and that it was all about. You know, and that led into the misogyny thing. Yeah. But it really feels like he's focusing more on the misogyny than he is about the power.
I thought the premise is that men are better than women, which is like, okay, maybe that's your like 43rd premise, but it's not your third. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, so you're leaving out a few things, I will say. So I generally agree with you, but the whole thing when he was going through his tenets was the whole point of it. So this is a few episodes back when he was going to the anti-pope. He was talking about doing whatever you want to. It basically was about free will. Because when Prudence is talking to him, when he's talking to Prudence, and he's like, "You know what? You are Blackwood. You did whatever you could to get what you want. That's what it's really about." So that technically, you could talk about that being free will if you want.
But they don't talk about that part of the Judas Society.
I mean, they did in those 2 episodes.
No, they just threw it out there and then did that. That's not the thing. We're not talking because that's a really interesting critique. Yeah. Of a system of ethics.
Yeah, especially if he was like, oh, I don't want there to be a council, I don't want there to be judges or anything, I want chaos, I want you to just do whatever you want.
Look, and there are no rules. That's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they became a little bit of a parody of themselves in this, because they were already really big on the messaging in season 1, and I feel like they like tripled down on it in a negative way this season.
Literally the only sort of progressive in the entirety of this potential show in Power was Edward Spellman.
I feel like that makes sense within the Catholic Church.
I was thinking like that's and in a lot of religions, like people might want to be progressive reformers, but they can still be super misogynistic and sexually harassing.
Yeah, I mean, there's the closest we've gotten to like actual progressiveness in the Catholic Church is the current Pope, and he's not actually that progressive. It's not like things are changing. It's not like we're suddenly a female priest now.
The Methuselah thing, that's the sort of thing where if they didn't have a religion that was based solely on misogyny, I would have said like, wow, that's a cool like that's good. Well done. Good job. But because it was in this episode where it was like...
Suddenly now it's all like... I was kind of on board with the tenets, the idea of the tenets when he was going to present them in the anti-pope. Because it wasn't... misogyny was part of it, but it wasn't just that.
It was the last 2.
Yeah. It wasn't... It was
50%.
Yeah, my point being that I feel like when he was presenting it, it was like... This is a factor. Whereas this episode, it was really like... The only things he was really changing were about women. So, like...
women have a curfew. Women have... Like, can you have some other, like, more interesting rules that make me... Like, because I know you hate women. Yeah. So this isn't adding anything to your character or the plot. You hate women, I get it.
The other thing is that, well, it's upping the stakes so that he can be defeated and it's higher intensity and...
But it's not.
Yeah.
But it's not. He's already tried to kill the main character. It's not. Like, saying that women have a curfew
No, he didn't actually try to kill the main character until this episode. This is the first time he ever tried to kill the main character.
I mean, he's been trying to get her...
out of the way, but he hasn't actually tried to kill her until this episode.
But so then that can be raising the stakes.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be like women can only study herbology.
Yeah. To me, the problem is that it undermines the things that they've done that are good. Like, I think that the message around Lilith is really well done.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting feminist story that they're telling here. But when you have everything be about that, then it starts crumbling in on itself, and it's just like, okay.
Especially because, like, apart from the occasional Theo moments, which have been few and far between, honestly, there's no other system of oppression ever talked about on this show.
And including and, like, when they have...
It's starting to feel a little like, okay,
because that was the thing. In season 1, yes, it was about that, but they also tackled a number of other things. So it was like, here's this week's episode where we're talking about this. Here's this week's episode where we're talking about that.
No, we didn't talk about...
What?
Is how they fell into the, like, there is only one non-heterosexual couple, and they killed off. They fell into that trope too.
That's a good point.
Damn it! Sabrina, I want to love you so much.
And on that note, thank you guys so much for watching this podcast episode thing that we just did. We're about to watch the finale. Maybe it will turn us around. Love ya.
Love you lots. Hail Satan.